Okay, let's see that. What happening with that? Did Asmongold did an interview with them?
Airship Syndicate has recently come out with an announcement that they will be restructuring the entire game from a live service into a single-player, peer-to-peer co-op game. I mean, that's kind of how it was already. In the Steam community post, they state the changes, and that they will be abolishing the live service model and moving them into a single-player model and compensating founders by turning their pledge into a simple cosmetics currency. The founders over Discord are rightfully livid over this attempt of scam. The pricing of the packs range from $150, $90, and $150.
And $20. It was a $20 one.
Developers are turning in $180 and delivering a single-player game instead. The packs offered features like multiple season passes in advance and currency to purchase in-game characters.
Yeah, the thing was about that, originally it was the 2 seasons, and we only ever got one. Because the second season with Gwendol, the cat, like, warrior type, was supposed to be, you know, the net one. So yeah, they did plummet that, which in return, that my other question, like, what happened with that? Especially if everybody getting Gwendol, because originally Gwendol was supposed to be a character that you had to farm through the battle pass. But if it's not happening, you know.
As well as a plethora of cosmetics that only made sense for an MMO. Isn't this company like shutting down? No, their publisher dropped them. Wayfinder had one of the
just for the work, or the publisher also dropped every other studio they were working with that wasn't tied to Warframe.
Launches in the game history, with massive login queues of 30k players and straight up broken core gameplay mechanics. After the launch of the publisher, Digital Extremes pulled away from their deal, leaving Airship Syndicate to manage the live service on their own. You may think it's fair for a small developer to roll back an MMO into a single-player game, and most of us agree. What we, the founders, want is a refund for founders packs, the things Airship promised us and are now taking away. We pledged to fund an MMO, expecting MMO-style games. Now our face is a single-player game. As readiness team has refused all refund attempts. Forgot to mention, this is completely wiping all player progression from the live service going into the single-player model. So there's a full progress reset. Holy shit.
Yeah, everything.
I liked this game. I thought this game was fun. But the problem is that nobody else did, because there's 23...
I don't know what you're talking about, Asmongold. I fucking love Wayfinder. I've been preaching Wayfinder for almost 2 years now. Also, Asmongold don't know who we are. But that's beside the point, chat. That is beside the point. I am still happy that Asmongold side with me of the game was good.
3 people playing the game. I think there was a dev in chat. The executive producers in chat wants to talk to you. Yeah. I'm gonna talk to him right now.
Hey, what's going
on? Not much. Just reading the post. I saw that you had messaged me about it, and
2 people, even more than 2. Anyway.
Seems pretty interesting. So,
it's been a busy day.
Yeah, it's been a busy day.
He does. That is a good point.
Can you first, like, introduce yourself so everybody knows kind of like who you are, where you're coming from, etc.?
Yeah, so my name is AJ. I'm the executive producer on Wayfinder. I've been on the game since day one, here in the studio with Airship Syndicate with everybody in Austin, just like you. So, well-versed in everything that we've done before and everything that we're working towards. But I know
we can talk about that in a moment, Blade.
A lot of people that are... Some people are happy, some people are upset, and I'm here to answer any of those questions and talk about the...
Just for the record, like, I'm in the camp of, like, I wouldn't even say happy or upset. I'm in that, like, funky stage of grief at the moment of just, like, you know, trying to come to terms with it, and also trying to think about the future, and just, like, I'm very in the middle right now. I think I'm on, like, the 2nd or 3rd degree of grieving right now.
Fortunate reality where we are, and the necessity of the pivot we had to make, and kind of the 2 choices we had, which was, hey, the game can be shut down forever, like a lot of MMOs that we've all played and loved, or we can work towards making something that people have in their library and they can play at their leisure on their Steam Deck, on their PlayStation, on their Xbox. So whatever you want to talk about, I'm here to talk about it.
How the fuck did you get there? Like, what happened? So the game launched. There was, like, obviously the whole Wayfinder drama. It was, the servers were fucked, and I mean, everybody knows it. That's the way it was. And how did you guys respond to that whenever it happened?
So obviously we had a partner when we launched this. It was Digital Extremes.
Yeah.
Digital Extremes was responsible for some stuff, be it login queues, customer support. Like, there's a lot of stuff they were responsible for.
Account management,
database games, like a lot of stuff. And we owned up to our issues. They owned up to some of their issues as well. And when they informed us that they were dissolving their publishing unit, and that's that we kind of stopped on the road. So work on the game and publish the game. We said, fuck yeah, we had to self-publish the game. It's a lot easier now. You know that now with your endeavors. We can go through Steam, we can go through PlayStation, and we started down that path, and we did support the game. We released a couple updates. We had some good reception.
Yeah,
we
you
saw
had the
a little
Reaver
uptick.
King update and a couple of other ones. Oh, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we did all that stuff, and as we worked to finalize that deal and change, and they finalized, it became evident that we would not be able to do that. It wouldn't be sustainable. And so we
Yeah.
kind of put our heads together and said, well, what do we do? Do we just say goodbye to this game that we've worked on for 5 years, which sucks for people that work on it?
Well, like real quick before
Yeah.
before we're going farther. So like basically Digital Extremes got rid of their entire publishing unit.
Yeah.
It's not like
Correct.
basically
they dissolved the entire publishing.
So this
Why they
was
were dropped
not
and
a
shoved under
result
the
of
bus.
performance of Wayfinder.
Yeah.
It was more so a result of their business decision.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the devs.
Is that,
They
and
had
how
a
many
new
other
CEO that was put.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say they had a new CEO that got put in place, and then that change happened. Again, I'm not throwing stones. I'm just specifically saying what happened and kind of the sequence.
Well, they restructured the company, right? I mean, it happens a million times. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
How many other games were they publishing besides Wayfinder?
I can't answer how many they were working on, but I mean, historically, you can look at there was another title called Survive By that they had published previously in the past. So, and that they were not publishing anymore, and the game got shut down.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. The reason why is like, you know, did they like to what proportion was Wayfinder part of their publishing unit? Because like obviously, if they were only publishing 3 games, then Wayfinder not doing well probably would be impactful. But if they were publishing, let's say 30 or 50, then it would probably just be like another thing.
Yeah, so one of the things that's a misconception is that we actually did an interview recently with SkillUp, who I'm sure you're familiar with. It'll go live on Friday, but we talked about this and we kind of talked about because
That's
he
the one
asked
we waiting
the
on.
question, how did this happen? Digital Extremes has worked in this industry for a while. They obviously have Wayfinder, which is super successful. Warframe, which is super successful. But the team that was working on Wayfinder and all their other publishing projects was not that team. They had a completely separate team, completely separate technology, some completely separate account systems, completely separate login.
Which is the main reason, like a lot of them that did get laid off were like all my contact. Like, don't get me wrong, like I still got my contact with Alex and whatnot. Like that's not a problem. But like, cause like I have talked about when when we were doing all the coverage and everything for Wayfinder, I had Alex. Alex was pretty much on speed dial since he was all the way on Discord because you bet community manager, that kind of his job. And then I had my connection at Digital Extremes, who was like what they talk about here, who ended up handling like keys, review codes, sending me like link to like data server where they had like screenshots and videos, and the whole reason why like my videos had content in it that no other Wayfinder content person had, because I had access to all that from the Digital Stream side. And then the second that the decision went down and they laid off the PR person that was helping me, all that went away. So like, yeah, like we still have our connection with Alex, but like the Digital Stream thing, it was like literally overnight just gone because of that.
And systems, all those were different. And those were built with the intention of, okay, we'll build this for Wayfinder and for possibly other games. So when they decided not to do that, that's when they closed down their entire publishing division, and they decided to just focus on what they were working on, which was Warframe and Soulframe.
Okay, well that makes sense. Narrow it down, focus heavily in. And so whenever obviously you all got
hold
news...
on, people are saying my mic is bad. What's wrong with the mic?
because I think you're walking away from it.
It's good when it's close. Okay, yeah, I'm not walking anymore. I saw that. Sorry, I pace when I talk. My bad.
You're good. I do the same thing. And
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, like, what was the response of like your team whenever you found out that your publisher was just no longer going to exist?
I mean, it was. I will say that the team is incredibly resilient. Like normally, if you had that news, you can imagine people would be like, well, I'm out of here, jumping ship.
Yeah.
I mean, I was stressed. We were all stressed. We didn't get into this other than the fact that like we made this game initially as a love letter to MMOs. We all grew up playing WoW and EverQuest and Final Fantasy and Invictus and every game under the sun, and that's what we set out to make. So when that
you can feel a lot of that in it.
It was disheartening. But what was exciting was that we were no longer beholden to a publisher, and that we could do what we wanted in terms of focusing on quality updates and
But the issue I'm curious you're gonna get into. The issue is that, like, yeah, they could and they did. Like, there was a lot of update that got put super fast, especially on the PC side. But then again, you then also started running into outside of PC and whatnot. So, yeah.
Maybe balancing quick hot fixes versus having to get stuff approved through them. So,
Yeah,
the
stuff
team
did
is
speed up,
invigorated, and that's why we were able to pump out a bunch of really good patches. We patched almost weekly. I think we did bi-weekly for a long period of time until we
it
started
was the news
working
like
on this
constantly
Echoes
though
update,
for a moment.
which you're obviously aware of now because we're talking about it.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. And why did you decide to pivot over to making it kind of? Is it like so you're talking about like the multiplayer single player game? Is this going to function kind of like Monster Hunter in a way?
Yeah, so just to break it down for people, people think that this is just us being like, hey, it's a single player co-op game, right? Like the work that the team has put into this, I cannot stress enough, is extraordinary over the last couple months. That every single system inside of the game, from the core loops to how you acquire weapons to the cosmetics to upgrades, talent trees, like that has been implemented in the game. Like it feels like an ARPG. You played the game, so you know one of the biggest things is very Monster Hunter-like of, hey, I collected this weapon.
Yeah, literally what I was talking about a little bit ago of like, yeah, it very much like the Monster Hunter loop as well as Fantasy Dawn, Dreamcast, and GameCube as well. Like, because, you know, Monster Hunter came from that, so of course it would be like that. But yeah, like that was the part that was like the most fun for me, was like that whole thing of like, you know, doing the bosses, doing the dungeons, and you know, having like a defined goal of being like, I need this item, I need this attachment. I know exactly where we come from and roughly what the drop weight was, instead of being, you know, up in the air and come from anything, you know, like very much in like the Monster Hunter case of being extremely focused at all what you need to do. Which in return also by proxy, you know, for the people that was able to play at launch, you know, with that type of like defining of a progression, you know, we also went into a lot of issues that people just, you know, spending 20 hours in like a day, day and a half, and being in game and being done, having nothing to do. You know, which, you know, not every MMO though, but, you know, it was like also very much, I feel like that happens a little more quick for Wayfinder, because also in Wayfinder, when you get one item, you go to the description and it would just tell you how to get more. So that kind of also speed up that whole side as well for the player base, which is, you know, good and bad at the same time.
And I'm going to upgrade it to the end of time and make it super powerful. Like we don't have that anymore. They're full loot drops, just like a traditional ARPG. You can find a level 5 weapon and it might have stats you like and an echo slot you like, and then 10 minutes later you can find a level 8 weapon that's better. Same with all of our armor and all of our cosmetics, all thousands of items that we had in the game were just put in the game as drops.
Yeah.
So a lot of work went into this.
I really we still like formed in Monster Hunter
really
style.
So like the question you asked was, how does it work? You load up the game on your Steam Deck, on your PC, eventually be on PlayStation 5 and Xbox as well. You play the game. If you want to jump into a buddy's game or vice versa, they would click on your name in Steam or in PlayStation. They would join your game. All of the progress carries over. All of the loot that you might find if you do a quest together and you pick up a really awesome sword. And
that looked good.
Okay, thanks. I'm getting off for the night.
Can you trade? Can you trade stuff?
There's still no trading inside the game. No.
Is that something that was intended or planned, or is it just, you know?
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't planned because it was going to be a free-to-play MMO, and that makes it super hard to figure out a lot of logistics, especially if it is.
And also
but now that it's a peer-to-peer,
yeah,
exactly, yeah. So, I mean, now I'm sure people will figure it out, and maybe we'll figure it out. And that's the other thing about this too, is I know I'm kind of just jumping around, but like, we want people to enjoy the game. We want people to play it, and if that's the case, people already have been like, "Hey, why don't you put in a matchmaker, and why don't you put in a server browser or mod support?" Like, we can't stress enough that if people are interested in that, and people are playing and buying the game, we will support it. Like, it has to financially make sense, but we made this that in case that doesn't happen, we'd be like, okay, we've delivered a version 1.0 of the game. We think it's really solid, and that's it. That's the game. So we would love to keep working on it. We didn't do this because we hated it. We didn't do this because...
Be warned, chat. There was a really bad storm happening outside. If I ban it, my internet went out. Or power went out. So, quick heads up on that if I suddenly ban it. I get we will see. We made it to the end of YouTube. I get we will see.
we didn't want to work on it. We love the world, we love the characters, we love the fans, but it obviously has to make sense. You're a businessman, you know how that works.
Of course, yeah, you've got to make the money, right? And that's just the way it is. And I'm assuming probably there were a lot of server costs for the MMO. You couldn't afford to have the server. Yeah, and that's just, yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
they did not fund
Pretty
it for
reasonable.
that.
And
Then they don't have a publisher or
obviously,
anything.
like, you saw the post that I was looking at. People think they're getting scammed because you're like pivoting. Are they going to get like any money back, or like how would you respond to that?
Yeah, so the people that are upset can go through the means of PlayStation and Steam to request refunds. We're working with them to see what else we can do in terms of like additional compensation. To be completely blunt and completely honest, we didn't collect money. Obviously, that was
Yeah, because I would have been interested in, like, obviously, if I had the opportunity, like Asmongold, like, yeah, I would absolutely in a heartbeat talk to them with it. Because back when the game was coming out, I was trying to set up like an interview, and then that never panned out just because how the launch went. I still like outside of DMs like on Discord and stuff, but like I'd still be 100% down for like a legit interview because like I have a whole bunch of questions about that leans a little more into like how the game gonna operate, because like most of the stuff they're talking about here, I've been talking about that for months, so but they're still doing a good job, especially as like a blanket overview statement. Especially being on the fly, like absolutely great. But yeah, I still 100% be down seeing them to actually do like a proper interview with them about some of the gameplay stuff. Like I said, such as like what we were talking about a bit ago before we started looking at the video with how the open world gonna operate, how the world bosses, how how the kill tools are gonna operate, since they are no longer farmable, /buyable, and battle pass stuff. Like, I have so many, like, questions that, that hopefully they would be able to answer, especially since, the game gonna re-release in, like, 2 weeks. But yeah, I need to probably reach out to Alex or something and be like, hey, anyone available for that? Because, like, I would love to go more into detail on this. Without the kill up video going to do it. But I think the kill up video will probably be more in line with this. But yeah, like, any now with the game going, quote unquote co-op single player, like, I feel like, yeah, I would 100% still work with Digital Dream. Oh, not Digital Dream, sorry, Airship on this. Because, like, all my year doing gameplay stuff and game company stuff are like, easily Airship was like the most easier one to work with on the stuff that I did get to do with them.
Was done through our publisher, so I can't refund what I didn't directly collect, but obviously as a player you don't give a shit who collects your money, right? Like to you it's like, hey, it's in my library, it's not what I initially wanted it to be. So we're offering make goods inside the games. All the founder pack items that people did purchase, they will have inside of the game when we launch, and then additional items from money that was spent or money that you had in your wallet will be converted into an exclusive currency that you
which I have 1700 silver,
that like cosmetics and characters that you can't get otherwise. They're not loot drops. They're exclusive to those things. Again, there's no perfect scenario. It's I'm a Star Trek fan. It's the Kobayashi Maru. So we're trying to do what's best for players and for us so that we can continue to make awesome games. That's all we want to do.
Can you still buy the $150 pack right now?
No, the minute that we took over the business, we removed it for sale. The game has not been for sale for over a month once we finalized all of our legal transfers from Digital Extremes to us.
So you're saying that the reason why you're not offering refunds is because you are in no position to do so, because the company that was the publisher, Digital Extremes,
took the money,
who actually took the money, so you couldn't even offer refunds if you wanted to. Is that effectively what you're saying? And so that's why, but you are working with Steam to hopefully empower the people who do want a refund to get it, but they have to get it from Digital Extremes. Is that correct?
I can't speak for that. I obviously can't speak directly for DE anymore, but I can tell. I mean, we've gone through the ringer with Steam. We were trying to offer multiple game copies so that you can give it to your friends. They don't support that anymore. We're trying to give away. We've talked about additional DLC in the future if we do that, to give it away. So I mean, I get it. I get that people are emotional upset. I've been there.
Yeah, that was the main reason. Like, don't get me wrong, I never expected to go to this extent, like at all, like what happened with Digital Dreams. But you remember, chat, like, well, the one thing I talked about, I think it might have been with Z or something. I'm pretty sure it was Z. Was because something along the lines of like Ziad, like will we be like a Wayfinder content creator for yields like we were for PSO? And I remember like talking about like I don't think so, mainly just because after putting in a couple hundred hours like in the betas and whatnot, over like 5-6 months before the game came out, like I knew like it wasn't gonna be like no like Final Fantasy 14, no WoW, no Fortnite, nothing of that extent. But my original thought was like, okay, this game would probably be like PSO, find a group, connect with a group, and then between all platforms set at like 2 to 5K. And then when it came to like buying the founder packed up, like you guys probably remember me saying this, was because of that. I said like, yeah, the game is worth $20 because the $20 with the bare minimum founders. And then, of course, all the one listed, like, the more high-end stuff when you start getting into, like, the multiple, like, mount, character, all the stuff that came with that. So, like, any back then, I would tell you guys, like, yeah, don't buy the 150, buy the $20. It worth $20 right now. And then whatever happens. And then the game great and still able to stay great, 6 months to a year later when you go into, 1.0, like, then upgrade. Or play enough to figure out if it will upgrading for you specifically. So yeah, like I don't know where we're going with that tangent, but nonetheless, like I didn't expect this, that happened because this is such a like bad play by everybody, or as I've been saying, like very much thrown under the bus. So. And then you told it Wayfinder like on top of it, and like, ugh.
I'm sure you've been there when you played games that shut down or something you bought's not what you originally intended it to be. But I just hope that people understand that this was the decision we came to, because the other decision would be that it would just go away forever, which also sucks. Like I said, there's really no winning in this situation. We're trying to do what's best for players, but also for us, for a company, so we can continue to make games with 85 people in the company.
Hey, there's the number 85,
and we're just in a situation that that sucks. No way around it.
Yeah,
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, like literally 85 people funded out of pocket right now, and then like taking the game offline and not selling. Like, they probably weren't making enough money to begin with anyway, but you just killed off what, little revenue you might have. And like at that point, it like you haven't been you didn't have a publisher like pushing for some other game, financing another game. And this is like it just Wayfinder all you have, is like such a bad position to be in, which is the main reason why like I'm so terrified for them. Like, oh, they ain't gonna be around in a year. So like any now, like giving to the $25 bell minimum for like a single player game, it's still like that. The other thing that like gonna have to like for them figure out how to get past is not only like the feel of like, oh, you just changed the game completely, but also like how you guys gonna stay afloat, to become like the snake eating their tail here. You don't buy the game, they fail, but you don't want to buy the game because you think they're gonna fail, and they might, but it like, oh god, man. So
it definitely sucks. And like going back to the thing, because like I just want to make sure, because like this is I think the main point of contention is that like, so you're not at like, if somebody is trying to get their $150 founder pack back, like you're cooperating with Steam from like your perspective, that's fine with you, right?
I don't know the answer to that. Like, I can't specifically say that it's fine with me. I mean, both from like a legal standpoint as well as like the people I answer to, what they're going to say. But I can say that we understand and empathize with people. We have talked to Steam directly.
What did you talk to? Can you say what you talked to Steam about?
They understood the situation. I mean, we obviously had been talking to Steam for a long time to transfer all the services and transfer everything over to us. And once we did take over the business, we then like I said, we took it off for sale. So they understood that, and they understood that that was our desire once we were in control. But as far as the actual like refund portion of it, or who handles that, I can't speak for that, or what conversations they might have had with DEI. They're not our partner anymore, and we haven't talked to them in a while about that stuff.
So do you have any autonomy to give refunds back to anyone? Like, could you give refunds back if you wanted to?
I don't think so, and I'm just being completely blunt with you.
Okay, yeah, no, I know. I'm just
I
like,
don't
yeah,
know.
straight answer. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we haven't walked through that logistics, and we didn't talk to Steam and say like, hey, we can do this. I mean, like I said, if we haven't collected money from people and from Steam, like imagine a bank account. Again,
You don't have
completely
the
hypothetical,
receipt.
talking
Yeah.
about it. I don't have the I don't have the receipt.
So
Again,
you guys, so that's very important though, right? Like you don't have the receipt to verify that anybody did or did not purchase the game. Is that accurate?
I'm trying to think. I don't think that's entirely accurate. I can't see like an individual. I can't see Asmongold making a sale for this, making a purchase and then getting this game. That is correct.
Is
Like,
there a way that
Steam.
is there a way that if somebody who had the Founders Edition,
Mhm.
if they push the button for I want a refund, can you approve that button push?
So you can approve the button push with specific parameters. Like let's say, like when we launched, for example, we changed the button push from the default 2 hours or 14 days, which I think we did it to like 12 hours and 14 days, something like that. Because obviously we had tons of login issues and people took a long time to get into the game. But that was them. So I don't actually know. I mean, this is something that we're committed to looking at and working towards. I don't have an answer for people now, unfortunately. But we wanted to get this news out there today because obviously we're launching for those that have paid for the game already, the 31st, and then for other people, the 11th.
Okay. So yeah, I guess you'll probably be able to find that out. And do you know if the team is looking for a way to reimburse the people that bought the Founders Editions, or like what's the thinking with the team in terms of the people that feel like they were misled? Because I think that's going to be like a big point of contention.
You're saying with them feeling misled?
Yeah. Because they said that they had bought the $150 edition
Sure.
for the MMO and continued service and multiple
Yeah,
seasons
how
in
do
the
you
future.
get them to
Then
feel
obviously like the
content
way
with
that the
it?
game is being presented has changed. I personally have like kind of a buyer beware perspective on this. So
Yeah.
like if you say, well, no, because that's just what happens whenever you support an early access game, I don't give a shit. That's true. But like I'm curious to see what the team is viewing this, because I'm sure that you all have seen the post, right?
Yeah, how do you win them back?
So we are in agreement
Yeah.
with you that if it's an early access game and there are risks inherently with early access games. But at that same time, like I get it as a player, like I said, like I've been in that situation where I bought into an early access game or Kickstarter and it just goes away. And if we didn't care about our perception, we would have just shut the game down and said we don't give a shit about you.
Well,
So
y'all wouldn't have done that
and,
thing with the store items at the beginning of the game with like the pricing. I remember that.
And
they changed the pricing on a lot of weapons because of feedback.
It's a spontaneous interview, but I'm thinking aloud. But
Yeah,
I mean, we care about the perception. We care about the player's perception. We care about the studio and its pedigree and the games that we've done before. And so it's gut wrenching to even be here. So I don't have a direct answer for you other than we want to make right by the player and we want people to be happy. And part of that is I hope that when the game does come out, people download it and they update their game and they see the effort that went into it and that is good. But I get that's not an answer for everybody. If you wanted an MMO and all of a sudden you have a single player co-op game, it's not the same. So we're totally not blind to that. But I don't have a good answer today about like what can be done here other than we want people to play quickly. So
yeah, because really the only thing you can kind of do at that point, honestly, is like, you know, there are always going to be people who just like, you know, not going to play it because obviously, like, the baggage is a mile long at that point. But at the same time, is like the best you can kind of hope for here is hope enough people who have already bought it, who, you know, kind of like in my camp of just like, yeah, let's go, let's just try it, let's just see. Let's see what happens. And hoping enough people will give the game a shot again to see how it is in single player, and then hopefully can get that ball rolling of like being able to be like, you know, do their own like recommendation, being like, no, the game is great, you know, blah blah blah, trying to pull them friends and whatnot into it, and just hope that, you know, you can get enough like word of mouth started out Because, like, yeah, give me in-game currency for, well, items or items that was originally you bought, like doing all the in-game stuff. You know, the regular Smo Joe who have never even played the game and they have only heard people complaining about, you know, the launch or complaining about this, you know, with the single player stuff. Like, that person don't really give a shit about, like, you know, how they would be reimbursed, like, with outfits and stuff. And, like, you know, to them, the game is just bad. So, like, the best you can honestly do here is just hope your game is good enough. Hope you're open enough with the community, which obviously they still are. For example, this interview as a sample. And just hope you can get some, like, word of mouth happening. And hope you can, like, ideally move a pat the baggage. And then, like, new players that will come in. Hopefully, either will be okay to try it with the baggage, or just, like, hope the new word of mouth stuff just kind of drowns out everything that happened before. And then the player base coming in have no idea what's happening. And, you know, the game start with, you know, this update. Like, realistically, you know, that whole side of the whole forgetting would normally be terrible. But, you know, in the circumstance of how that had played out, that is, like, best case scenario, you know? And it just, like, at that point, the only thing you can really do is just try to put your foot forward and hope you can make it good enough and wide enough for the people that can get that started. So, that's the hope anyway. But, how you doing, Pip? Welcome, Pip. Welcome. I'll be with you in a moment, but welcome.
So that they could see it. That's why we announced so close to it coming out. And we want to continue to work with our partners to figure out a solution for it for people.
Okay, yeah, that seems to make sense. Yeah, I'll have one more question for that, and then I'm kind of actually curious about, like, where the game is going to go. So, on Steam, if somebody who has a Founders Edition wants to get a refund, and they click the refund button, you, at the company, have the option to approve that refund right now. Is that correct?
No, we have the option to set specific. Oh, I guess yes? Question mark. We have the option to set specific parameters on time. I don't know what that limit is. If the limit is 60 days or unlimited, I don't have an answer for that. I just don't know. I'd have to work with my Steam guys to figure that out. But we do have the option to set the parameters around, like, that time frame. The normal Steam 2 hours and 14 days is editable by the publisher. Now, does that work when you've transferred publishers? I don't have an answer again.
So I'm pretty sure, like, the truth is you have no fucking idea, because this happened out of nowhere and it's kind of uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Like, just is that pretty much where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's
yeah, just winging. They've been winging it for the last few months.
No one's really done this before. It's taking an online game, completely stripping it out, redoing every major system.
It was bound to happen, Pip.
Making it a game that people can play forever. And we hope that people do play forever. And if they do, and people like it and they buy it, like, we want to keep supporting it. Like, we play.
Yeah, they own 100% the right to it. So long as Airship Syndicate can stay afloat, then, you know, the game will be available. Not like they're gonna, you know, Digital Dream just gonna, you know, whip it out from under them again. So at least that is, like, a good ideal to, like, go off of, but at least you don't gotta worry about that. As long as the Airship don't go under, that is.
Game studio that has a small team on Wayfinder that constantly has updates of characters and weapons and hunts and locations and yada yada yada, while we work on other stuff too. That is the goal.
Okay, yeah. So what are you gonna do now? Obviously, since the game is, you know, the game is going single player. You know, what happens now?
Right now, so are you asking, like, specifically, like, the timeline for stuff?
Well, I mean, just in general.
Sorry,
right?
I got two messages.
Like,
I got two messages in the middle.
No, it's okay. I get probably 50 an hour. People send me. I totally understand being distracted.
Our current philosophy now is that we take what we take a game that we think is a demonstrably better game. I mean, we quickly found that out once we removed the servers and there was no lag, there's no latency. We took everything that was something you could purchase at one point or the other, and we converted it into loot drops that are earnable, that feel good. Everyone loves a loot pinata, right? We added we added tons of new content. Like I said, there's talent trees, there's alternate progression systems.
Yeah, all the
and
stuff they were working on from
have
the
tons of other content. Like
roadmap.
our new zone that we put in is about 3 times larger than the old one.
Mhm.
There's mounts, there's additional hunts, there's additional weapons to find, sets to get, and so that stuff will be going live with the Echoes update on the 31st for people that already own the
Mhm.
game. If you don't own the game, since we took it down for sale, we'll put it back up for sale on the June 11th. And then
So can you
from
not
that
buy
point,
the game right now?
no, at the minute that, like I said, the minute we took over the business, we took the game down for sale on every platform.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes, you cannot buy the game. And so once the game comes out on June 11th, we'll be working through early access where we have additional characters, additional locations, additional zones, refinements of the game, refinement of the game system, and we'll be putting them in.
Yeah,
Once
because a lot of stuff
obviously
still
are out
gonna
of
need
early
work,
access,
you
the
know.
game becomes version 1.0. And during that time, we can make the decision to say, okay, well, it makes sense for us to put in official mod support or server browser or whatever. Like, as long as there's an audience, we will keep working on the game. Like I said, with a smaller team that's working on it, but we'd love to keep adding content to it as long as people are interested in playing it and buying it.
So you say in the post, you say there's going to be no in-game microtransactions or in-game purchases, and you just literally
Correct.
buy the. How the fuck is that sustainable?
Yeah.
Correct. So the boxes that we have and the boxes that we are hoping to sell, we think it's a affordable package, and we think it's enticing to people. Like, we've seen a big, this isn't just us, right? Like, there's been a meteoric shift in the industry of late of live services and microtransactions and people feeling FOMO and, hey, I have to log in to get my shop rotation, or I have to go do my daily quest. And so this is us trying to buck that trend by saying, well, what if we just put together a complete package that you can play start to finish? There's an end point to the story. There's an end game that you can continue to hunt for stuff. You can continue to power up your character. And you can definitely play the game on your own and just pay one price for it. All of the thousands of items that we had, for cosmetics to skins to housing items to weapons to sprays, like all that stuff is just loot. You're in a dungeon, you might just find.
So yeah, so no
bird
more
for your
battle
house,
pass or
and then
anything.
you might just
Down.
find a weapon.
Any
You
if it
can
is
find
like
parts
free
for another Wayfinder.
update.
Like, we've converted all that stuff. That was once purchasable into just being loot drops inside the game, like any other ARPG.
So what happens?
So,
like, this is the thing, right? It's like a lot of the reasons why they have these. Like, do you think that's sustainable?
Yeah, so like I said, our big goal is to go back to being a multi-project studio. I mean, we worked on Darksiders Genesis and Ruined King at the same time. And so it's sustainable for a business long term, obviously, to work on multiple things.
Yeah.
So as long as people
Always
are
have a
buying the game
backup
and streaming
plan.
the game, we'd love to have a team that's still working on Wayfinder. And that money that is collected also supports the studio during the time that we're working on other stuff with other partners. But you're right, it obviously doesn't last forever, but it's a big moment for us, and we're kind of, like I said, it's uncharted territory, and we're just trying to adapt to what we have now and to be around to just continue making awesome games. We're responsible for 80-some people, so we just want to do what's right by them, and we want to do what's right by the players.
I'm kind of interested to know at that point, since the whole studio was at that point pretty much a Wayfinder, the 80 plus people. So I'm kind of curious to know, which we will probably not know anytime soon by any means, but I'd be interested to know if they have, with all that going or playing out, if they have gotten our hands on investment opportunity for other games and other projects. And this is also the other thing that plays into this, realizing that the focus and the manpower to do it as the MMO it was that sustainable within the company itself, especially if they have other projects being worked on or other commission projects, such as the League of Legends games and whatnot they were just talking about. So I wonder if that also play into this at all. And obviously, they just haven't announced anything because the stuff takes years. So I'm kind of curious on that end of at all building up enough confident in the studio that that feel of a year from now, will they even be around, kind of get settled a bit. And that would also kind of, in some cases, obviously not for everybody, because not everyone know what's happening or cared to know what's happening. But it'd be interesting to know if that was like a piece of the puzzle that kind of started leaning that way, to actually be able to get the game out, get the game they've been so passionate about out, but at the same time still being able to stay afloat and give them the luxury of not having to do the microtransaction stuff. I'd be kind of interested to know about that, but you know, obviously we all probably yields out before we know one way or another, you know.
So just to completely understand, so like basically whenever this comes out, you said it's May 31st, is that right?
Yeah, anyone that's currently if you've ever owned the game, May 31st is the date you can play it. We're only calling that an early like a preview period because obviously we'll find.
By the way, I'm very happy they actually give me 2 keys for Steam and for PlayStation, so it's only gonna be on Steam. Once again, come on the video now. Please keep the game up, please.
Yeah.
And we'll issue a day 1 patch, and then we'll release it for sale on June 11th.
Okay.
But you can play throughout that entire time. It's not like it's going down. Obviously, it's a single player or a co-op game, so you can play at your leisure, do whatever you want during that time. But yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. And I guess, is there going to be, after the release of the game, besides like bug fixes, is there a content plan at all for the game after the release?
Yeah, well, they're all
yeah,
just
so
up
you
and
actually
out.
have it up on your screen right now that we currently have a new Wayfinder, a gigantic new zone, our 3 times the housing area, new hunts, new locations that we're adding into the game during early access, so additional content. And then, like I said, any other content would just come after that. But yes, there is a content plan for early access to continue to evolve the game, balance the game, but add additional content for people to play.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that sounds good. So there's basically not going to be any microtransactions. Is there a battle pass?
Thank you, Asmongold.
No. So there were battle passes that were initially in the game. Obviously,
one of my
they were also part
questions.
of the Founders Pack, where you can get our first battle pass and our second battle pass. Those are not being sold. They are just completely part of the game. They are loops in the game that you can unlock those rooms and get those cosmetics, just like any other upgrade or loop-based system inside of a game.
So
Okay, so it's literally not changing. It like, so part, because how it worked before was by doing content, killing monster, doing quests, doing dungeon, doing the monster hunter hunts, you would get like affiliates. It was like a separate affiliate bar, and once that level up, you got a key, and then with a key, you would unlock a room, and the room would have an item in it. So might it be like a peep for a character, a weapon, maybe a house item, you know, whatnot like that. So it sounds like that is staying. It just now, they probably, if I imagine, probably how they're gonna operate was like, you know, since this was the other part about this, which was one of the main thing, a reason I was so excited to actually support this, was the whole thing of working just like, for a lot of you understand, just like how Helldivers was, of like once you buy the battle pass, you had it, you know, as long as you spent like the $10 or however much it was gonna end up being, since we never found out. And then you do have like a list of like a whole bunch of battle pass, and you can just dump points into it. So they're gonna do that and keep that. That awesome, because that was one of them things that was like very like the way it operated. You know, it wasn't anything like super crazy. It kind of, I get the better way to think of it, like maybe kind of like the Mortal Kombat quips, from like, you know, Mortal Kombat, you know, like 9, 10. I don't remember if 11 had it. But like the more like, you know, you do unlocking as you go type of deal. So I'm very happy that stuff is not just going to be 100% gutted and become loot drops. I'm happy there is some type of progression to be like, I can only play for a little bit. I'm going to hop on 5-10 minutes, do a dungeon or two, and have a walking towards something that is not tied to RNG drops. Great.
So there's no battle pass. What about DLC?
We have no plans right now for DLC. We'd love to do it in the future. It really comes down to if we're able to, and if we're able to be sustainable doing so.
Well, shit. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I hope you guys can figure out the issue with like some of the people that subscribed and, you know, did the Founders Edition, and maybe figure out a way to make them happy. But otherwise, I mean, this seems like it's pretty decent. And yeah, I mean, man.
Yeah, because honestly, Mateo, my only worry going into this is for the people that was upset that wanted to try the game but never did because of everything that happened. are they gonna pay $25? Like, any other players, like, how many people are actually gonna pay the 25 for the asset plus whatever it might be at 1.0? That is my main feel going into this. Cause like, yeah, on one hand it will want $20, but like 25 after all the baggage become pretty deep for a lot of people. So
I can only imagine how stressful it might have been having to go through all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a challenge, but again, we're trying to do what's right. We had two options in front of us: game goes away forever, publisher canceled, or we risk our own ass and our own money, and we dig into our pockets and we say, can we do something with what we have and give something to players so that they can have it forever? And we think the answer is yes. I mean, we hope that on the 31st, when people actually log into the game, it's so hard not to say that anymore. When people press play on the game, that they see it. I mean, they'll see that it feels better to play, and it's just a much more responsive game, and it's just a much better situation. But unfortunately, we're rolling with it. But I think that in the long term, I think we'll be supporting this game because I think people will play it and they'll see how great it is.
Well, that's awesome, man. And I want to say
I'm biased, but
yeah,
hey,
of course, right?
yeah, you buy it.
But no, I want to say thanks a lot
nothing
for
wrong
coming
with
on
that.
and talking about it and everything. Obviously, you know, I'm sure you guys are busy. I've got like a million other things I need to do too. It's just like it turned into a very weird, busy day for me. But I do want to say I really appreciate you coming on such short notice and just randomly talking about this. I'm sure taking and fielding these questions
like randomly show up,
might be a little bit unnerving. So I want to say that I recognize that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and as far as the other stuff that I couldn't answer directly, like I said, I don't have all the answers. I'm giving you what I have, and obviously this is spontaneous, but I hope by me jumping on here, it does show that we give a shit and that we are trying to do something that's unheard of, taking a game that was online only and converting it to offline.
I said the one true line,
having it around forever. So
they elite kill,
but yeah,
they elite passionate about it.
You covering the game in the past and talking about it, be it good or be it bad, any conversation fuels us so that we can just continue to make awesome stuff, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, anyway, I'll let you get back to it, and thanks a lot for coming on. Thank you.
All right.
See you later. Peace. Wow, it was pretty good. I mean, I would say overall that was a pretty good answer. I think that obviously they can't answer the.
I do have a lot of like gameplay questions, but at least they did touch on it a little bit. So
fun portion right now because they simply probably do not have the. They can't confirm that, right? He's like one guy that works at the studio, and so like. He can't be like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. This isn't what's going to happen.
Yeah, because everything is still 100% up in the air. I will
go through the publisher. You know, at what point are they liable for those? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's probably the best type of answer that he could give realistically, right? And we'll see what happens. I hope that they can do right by these people in one way or another.
Yeah, hopefully they will be able to. But yeah, that was actually a fairly decent interview on that. Just like I said, the one consistency got to give them on this of just like, you know, being as much to the point as possible. You know, you see studios all the time be like, oh, we transparent. And like, elite Airship is as much as humanly possible and will bluntly state otherwise when they can't. So yeah, I said my biggest thing going in is like how many people they gonna win over with the 25? And like, you know, ideally, you know, the thing to do here, you know, if you had the money, which, you know, at that point it obviously up in the air, and like at that point I probably wouldn't want them to do it to begin with, could finance reasons, but like, you know, if you were like, you know, a bigger corporation, you know, you would do the whole thing of like sponsor a whole bunch of stream or get some content made, you know, and I just don't see them being able to do that. Not because they don't want to, but obviously probably can't. So like, this is gonna take a lot of like, you know, like from the ground up of the community, you know, selling this game or trying to sell this game back to the public. I'm worried on that end if that's gonna be something that's gonna happen, because like, yeah, what is like me, Asmongold, and then what, like one other person, you know, OTK like went on about it constantly, so Like, hopefully come May 34th, hopefully Asmongold will play it. Hopefully, you know, we will be able to play it because, like I said, theme is, you know, a little funky. But hopefully, a day when the video now so we can play it and OBS can calm down. Well, honestly, who knows? Maybe since being a single player game, maybe that will fix a lot of the issues I was having with, you know, OBS and whatnot. But I don't know. Either way, I hope I can jump in on the 34th. We will try at least. And probably burn the whole stream down if need be, trying to get it working. But yeah, like I said, my plan as of now is hop in, hopefully tomorrow, and to try to finish up everything we never got done, get that closure, get through that level of grief, and then move into, you know, the new life of Wayfinder and see if it actually worked. $25, all biases aside. Because, you know, obviously I'm going to miss a lot of the stuff that made it, you know, as I said, for the like 2 years, Wayfinder with everything I was hoping NGF was going to be at all like a Fantasy Star game, knowing this and is, it, you know, obviously not Fantasy Star. That's the only thing that wasn't. So, he'll hoping that stuff can translate into a single player game and we'll give that same feeling. And hopefully, you know, come June 11th, hopefully I can be over here being like, yeah, buy it. So, we will see. We will hope. But, you know, we will cross that bridge when we get there. But since it will probably be going up on YouTube, oh god, almost an hour long. 30 long video chat. So they will be going up on YouTube. So make sure to do thumbs up, subscribe, hit all the bell if you're watching it live on YouTube. Do the bells as well. You already heal. Hit the buttons if you haven't. Check out memberships. And don't forget, I will be back over on Twitch on Tuesday as soon as our Guilty by Association suspension's in. And then we will be hopping back into stuff over there on Tuesday. So, yeah. Like, favorite, and subscribe. Do the button. Do all of it. Do all of it, chat.